Right now, on to the point. Ships are once again passing through the Strait of Hormuz, what it means for gas prices and California's oil supply. A survivor's plea for justice as a convicted sex offender could walk free under the state's elderly parole program. Tax refunds are rolling in, but then what? Experts weigh in on the best way to put that extra cash to work. And on the back roads, a place of peace carved in stone.
So when you kind of look at the place, you can it's where the mind becomes still.
The Strait of Hormuz is back open, at least for now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. Iran says that the key global shipping channel will be completely open to all commercial vessels for the remaining period of the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. Iran's foreign minister posted the statement on social media today, adding this is in line with the 10-day ceasefire that just began. President Donald Trump also posted on social media this morning saying Iran has just announced the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage, but President Trump says the American blockade on Iranian ships and ports will stay in place until Tehran reaches a deal with the U.S. Now, U.S. stocks race to another record today after the Strait of Hormuz reopened. Dow Jones jumped as many as 1,100 points before ending with a jump nearly 1.8%. The Nasdaq climbed 1.5%. After Israel and Lebanon declared a 10-day ceasefire, the U.S. oil benchmark, WTI crude, dipped below $90. That's still well over its pre-war cost, though, which was sitting at $67 a barrel. But it is down from earlier this month when it topped $100. And even with the Strait of Hormuz temporarily reopening, it may take a while to see a difference at the pump. ABC's 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to explain why and also the impacts that it's having on our local oil refineries.
Well, Alex, there will essentially be a delayed effect in California with the Strait of Hormuz reopening. But two California-based refineries I spoke with today say the conflict in Iran is only a portion of the cause to our high gas prices. With California's reliance on foreign crude oil, the Strait of Hormuz reopening is crucial to our state's supply. Chevron is bracing for long-awaited relief.
We've got 6 weeks of supply that didn't get produced, and that is going to be supply that is short right now. And for the next couple months, as refiners try to get their capacity back online from Asia and other import destinations or import suppliers.
Chevron has 2 refineries in California, and with the conflict in Iran, they have resorted to other sources for supply.
The Strait of Hormuz reduced crude oil availability in California over the past couple months by about 20%. We have gone to other sources, whether that's Brazil or Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico.
Chad Hathaway is the owner of an independent oil and gas company in Bakersfield, producing and supplying oil to refineries. Situations like this is something he's used to, but he believes the war is not the sole reason for the high gas prices in California. He says it's the state's policy that are over-regulating the oil industry in the state.
You can't just pass a law that automatically assume that everybody's going to just jump right in again and start drilling.
And he believes the state's dependency on foreign oil isn't helping consumers.
The supply chain to California gets cut off. Think about that. Think about crude. Think about the refined fuels and stuff that we're importing from India and places like that that could very easily go somewhere else. We are heavily dependent, 75% dependent on foreign nations to supply our transportation fuels. It's insane.
Even if there is a deal to keep the Strait of Hormuz open permanently, Sacramento State's Sahar Razavi says it will still take a while before things resume to normal.
It will take several months for our gas prices at the pump to return back to their baseline. And that's under best case.
The California Energy Commission tells ABC 10 it's in close communication with all in-state refineries to ensure adequate transportation fuel supply, adding that the state's gas needs are being met through a combination of in-state refinery production, inventories, and imports from alternative sources, and that the state is not predicting a near-term supply challenge. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you. Even with the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, the war in Iran could impact your summer travel plans. This is because jet fuel supplies are down, and that has some airlines making a few adjustments. Now, jet fuel prices have rocketed upwards since military action against Iran began, and travelers are going to be picking up part of the tab. The International Energy Agency says Europe has roughly 6 weeks of jet fuel on hand. Analysts say it may be a while before things return to normal.
Once the straits open up, it takes time to unclog the 800 tankers that are there, get them to the places they need to be, and then get the refineries back open and processing all this fuel.
The global average jet fuel price has more than doubled compared to 1 year ago, according to the International Air Transportation Association. And new tonight, a former Del Campo High School football player is now suing his coaches and the San Juan Unified School District, alleging years of abuse, discrimination, and retaliation. The federal civil rights lawsuit claims Riley Cochran Hernandez was subject to repeated racial slurs and harassment from former coaches, along with unsafe practice conditions, including extreme heat workouts and limited water breaks. The complaint also alleges coaches ignored a doctor's orders that led to a serious leg injury, leading to permanent nerve damage. After reporting the behavior, the Del Campo senior says that he was punished, removed from the starting lineup, excluded from a team trip, and ultimately cut during his senior season.
Everything that I worked for since I was 4 was taken away from me. I thought it was over. I didn't think I would play again.
In a statement, the San Juan Unified School District says creating a safe environment is a top priority, but declined to comment on the pending litigation. The district confirms the coach is no longer employed, while another remains a teacher but is no longer coaching. And ABC 10's Garsh Sangha will have more tonight on this story coming up at 11. You'll be hearing from the student that is bringing this case forward, and also the accountability that he really wants to see happen. So we'll have more details. All right, still ahead on To The Point, a convicted child rapist could soon be released, and his victim is speaking out. The growing controversy over California's elderly parole program. And bigger tax refunds are hitting bank accounts this year. What experts say that you should actually do with that extra cash, and how a smart plan could save you thousands down the road.
And we've got a really nice weekend of weather ahead. Temperatures upper 70s, low 80s, but a pattern change arrives as early as Monday. Rain, thunder, snow coming back to Northern California. I've got a look at that forecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, singer David is under arrest in connection to the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Her body was found in the trunk of his abandoned Tesla last year. Los Angeles police say the 21-year-old singer, whose real name is David Burke, is being held without bail. Hernandez was 13 years old when she was first reported missing back in April of 2024. The man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk wants a judge to ban cameras from the courtroom. Tyler Robinson says live broadcasts of the prosecution are violating his right to a fair trial. Robinson was back in court today as his attorneys claim that biased coverage is tainting potential jurors. Prosecutors intend to seek the death penalty. And Congress approved a short-term renewal of a controversial surveillance program used by U.S. spy agencies just days before it was set to expire. The program allows key national security agencies to collect and analyze vast amounts of overseas communications with a warrant. Lawmakers turned to a short-term extension after an attempt to pass a 5-year renewal failed in the House. Don't put those skis and snowboards away quite yet. Heavenly just announced today that it will reopen for skiing and riding this weekend. 2 feet of snow fell last weekend into Monday, allowing the resort to reopen for guests. Some beautiful shots right there. A live shot, actually. All right, let's get things over to meteorologist Brenda Minchef. It was a beautiful day here in Sacramento, too. I mean, you really can't complain. Hopefully the weekend is going to be just as nice.
Yeah, and even a little warmer, close to 80 in the valley on Saturday and Sunday. And Heavenly only open this weekend, so get up there while you can, because it's not going to stick around very long. Temperatures today were in the mid-70s across most of the valley. Now we're in the low 70s. 72 in Sacramento, 73 Stockton, 73 in Manteca, 50 in Tahoe, 55 in Truckee, and 72 down in Modesto. That's right now. And also, we really don't have that much wind anymore. Wind was definitely a factor yesterday. It was still breezy this morning, but really at this point, those winds are gone, less than 5 miles per hour across most of the valley. Saturday morning starts off in the mid-40s, a cool morning ahead. Some clouds out there. Saturday afternoon, mostly sunny. Warm and quiet, 77 Sacramento, 80 in Stockton, 81 Modesto, 78 in Vacaville, 79 in Fairfield, 60s to mid-70s in the foothills, and low 60s in the high country. But let's look at Futurecast, because this is where things are going to get a little interesting on the other side of the weekend. So 4 p.m. on Saturday, mostly sunny skies. Some clouds build through Saturday night, Sunday morning. We'll see some more clearing as we get to Sunday afternoon. afternoon, but look towards the coast and you start to see some rain slowly working in. So this is almost midnight on Monday. This is 11 p.m. on Sunday. Rain out along the coast, Mendocino County, Fort Bragg. It's going to slowly work its way in. It could be here as early as about Monday afternoon, but there's a lot of discrepancy in the models still as to when the rain is going to move in. Is it going to be Monday afternoon or even later on Monday? Certainly as we go into Tuesday, we're going to see some rain and snow across Northern California, even some thunderstorms looking more likely in the valley for Tuesday. This setup continues through Wednesday with snow in the high country above about 6,500 feet and rain in the valley. Could linger into about Thursday morning, but right now the bullseye does appear to be Tuesday and Wednesday. March, usually one of our wettest months. We barely saw anything in March. You don't need me to remind you of that. We know March was very dry. April, though, already we're above normal with almost 1.5 inches of rain in Sacramento. So everything that we're going to get next week, just icing on the cake. Temperatures in the 60s, much cooler, thunder and snow and more rain to open up the week, though. Alex?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, tax day has come and gone, and now the refunds will start to arrive. Coming up, what financial experts say that you should do before that extra money slips away. And then later on the back roads, John Bartel takes us inside a stunning hand-carved temple where ancient tradition, remarkable craftsmanship, and a message of unity all come together. Welcome back in. New details tonight in the Nexstar-Tegna merger, which does involve ABC 10. A federal judge in Sacramento has blocked the $6.2 billion merger until an antitrust lawsuit is resolved. Now, DirecTV in 8 states, including California, sued over the merger. They argue it violates antitrust laws, would lead to higher costs for consumers, and reduce competition in dozens of local markets. Attorney General Rob Bonta sending a statement tonight saying, in part, quote, "This is a critical win in our case. This merger is illegal, plain and simple. The federal government may have thrown in the towel, but we'll keep fighting for consumers, for workers, for affordability, and for our local news." Nexstar has previously stated that they do not comment on pending litigation. Tonight, growing controversy over California's elderly parole program. Today, a survivor spoke out, urging officials not to release the man who abused her as a child. The victim says that she was repeatedly raped and assaulted by her stepfather, crimes that began when she was just under 14 years old. 63-year-old Israel Seha was convicted in 2000 on 22 charges and enhancements, including 19 counts of child rape by force. He was sentenced to 139 years in prison. But earlier this year, a 2-person parole panel recommended Seha for release under the state's elderly parole program, according to the Yolo County District's Attorney's Office. The decision is now under review. A hearing is set for Tuesday, where a full panel of commissioners will decide whether to uphold or reverse that recommendation. Today, the victim shared her reaction to the possibility of his release.
Like, my pain and everything he did to me and all the troubles that I have, and, like, it didn't matter anymore. Like, my pain it doesn't matter how I feel or how anybody feels.
The same program has come under scrutiny in many other cases across Northern California. The IRS has already paid out more than 69 million refunds this tax season, with more in the works. And if you received a refund, you may be wondering, what can I do with all this extra money? Well, Maribel Gonzalez spoke to financial experts about how to get the best use of your extra cash.
So far this tax season, taxpayers receiving a refund will get back an average of about $3,500. That is up about 11% from the same period last year, according to the U.S. Treasury. Financial experts say there are a few ways to use those funds efficiently.
If they have high interest debt, we want to make sure that we're going to start chipping away at that. That's really going to help us, I guess, starting to get ahead at some point.
If you are planning a big expense in the next few years, like buying a car or paying off college tuition, using your refund towards those goals can help you borrow less and reduce the total interest you pay. Saving money now can also help you in the future.
I think people feel like they need to have a lot of money sometimes to really start putting money away. But honestly, the earlier you start, the less you have to put away, because over time it's going to compound, and that compounding everything really adds up over the years.
But no matter what you choose to do with your refund,
Make sure you have a plan for that refund, because if you get that check and you set it aside or you deposit it and you're not really sure what you're going to do with it, you might just spend it, or it might go toward other things before you've done that constructive thing that you would like to do with it.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Coming up on the back roads, a visit to a breathtaking place that was built to quiet the mind. You never know what you'll see on the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel taking us on a spiritual journey to California's largest traditionally built Hindu temple.
As the sun rises over Chino Hills just outside of Los Angeles, the noise of cars and traffic seem to fade away, and a sense of peace takes over at the BAPS Hindu Mandir.
Mandir, the term, is a Sanskrit word for where it kind of splits up into two parts. Man, which means mind, dir, which means still. So when you kind of look at the place, you can it's where the mind becomes still.
Made from more than 35,000 pieces of individually carved stone, this is the largest traditionally built Hindu mandir in California.
In those ancient Hindu scriptures, it dictates that the mandir should be designed as a form of God. And so you'll see imagine at its base level being the feet, kind of the foundation being the legs and the knees, up to the top where you'll see the spires being the head, with the flags being the hair.
The mandir is a temple or place of worship open to anyone, and it's cared for by a team of volunteers like Mehul Patel, who took me inside to get a closer look.
It's like a sensory overload. So much to look at in here.
Yeah, you can see that no part of the stone has been left uncarved.
Mehul tells me that this mandir was completed in 2012, but traditional Hindu stone architecture dates back to the 4th and 5th century, where decorated stones were stacked without mortar or cement.
Because there is no structural kind of steel used for kind of structural support, very similar to other kind of ancient architectural technologies, we have an 8-ton stone here and a 7-ton stone here that kind of lock in the entire mandir from the foundation to the top. So kind of imagine the weight of the stone locking in all the pieces.
Hindu stonework is an art passed down through families of stoneworkers who use primitive tools. And you can learn all about it at the Hindu Architecture Museum inside the mandir.
As I mentioned, this entire mandir was hand carved, and so our skilled artisans kind of really took to a hammer and a chisel to really hand carve every single piece of stone. So right here in the museum, we have an actual hammer and a chisel that was used by an artisan to carve all the pieces that you're seeing in the mandir.
Many mandirs in India have survived hundreds of years without modern engineering, but because this mandir was built next to a fault line, they added a series of earthquake prevention supports called base isolators.
When an earthquake hits up until about an 8, on the Richter scale, the whole entire mandir shifts in 27 inches in either direction.
It's easy to get lost in the ornate carvings and the shrines inside and out of the mandir. It's a place where old architecture meets a modern way of living in the heart of Southern California. But Mehul says, at its core, this place is for everyone, no matter their beliefs.
Really believe that at its core we are human first, and therefore in places like this we can come together as humans, worship in community, be in community with one another, and that's kind of the message we hope that everybody takes away.
From the BAPS Hindu Mandir, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Absolutely beautiful. I've driven by it so many times and never knew what it looked like on the inside. Definitely going to have to check it out. All right, as always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think our team should be looking into, you already know you can reach out to us at any point. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend. Make sure you take a little bit of time for yourself to reset, relax, and maybe do something kind for someone else. I'll see you on Monday.